We therefore see two dinosaurs who are a couple at the beginning of the film. In front of them were 3 eggs, which will soon produce the young dinosaurs. 3 adorable dinosaurs emerged from these eggs shortly after they hatched. 2 of the dinos stood tall and were moving around. However, there was only one dinosaur inside the egg. It wasn't emerging and was short in height. They gave it the name Arlo. Then the dinosaur couple leaves with their young, then take them to their home. They frequently farm together, and they cherish one another, and they are now parents. They've developed into a cute family. These young dinosaurs had grown up by the time more time had passed. While Arlo was inactive, other dinosaurs were. They support their parents. However, when Arlo was supposed to do something, he was unable to. It becomes frightened by seemingly insignificant things. At this point, the dinosaur couple calls their young to them. They explain to them that it appears that winter is approaching. A lot of food needs to be stored. They built a storeroom where they keep food. The father dinosaur then leaves its mark there. The infants were all happy. We also want to leave our footprint, they claim, father. But the dinosaur's father halts them. It asserts that you are still infants, until you complete a significant amount of work. You cannot leave your mark. The moment you realize you have accomplished something in life, you may leave your footprints on that day. I'll also hold out for that day, when my children grow up to be just like me. The father dinosaur then says, let me check you today, and if you completed the task that I kindly assigned, you can leave your mark right now. People start to get excited. However, Arlo remained a threat. The wood is collected by Arlo's brother as he raises the enormous trees. The farm is cleaned up by Arlo's sister. They now have permission to leave their footprints. But when it comes to Arlo, nothing has changed. There was nothing it could do. Dad forbade it. Therefore, Arlo suffers harm. Its brother then appears and begins making fun of it. You are powerless to help that helpless little kid. Then Arlo says, don't do this. I feel bad. I made a lot of attempts. I was unable to, though. Its brother is still making fun of it. Then, the family shows up. They chastise the brother of Arlo. Don't make fun of your brother. You all apparently believe that I am powerless. According to Arlo, I'll take action eventually. Furthermore, I'll leave my mark here as well. Its father instructs it to follow. Then they begin to move forward. This is a really adorable scene. You can't do anything until you feel afraid. As Arlo's father explains to Arlo, your fear must go. And I want to do that. Be confident. You can handle this easily. Arlo then falls asleep. When they awaken the following morning, Arlo's father discovers that someone has taken the food from their store. In other words, an animal came and consumed or took away all the food. They were all anxious. The time is now, however, my son, according to Arlo's father, to see if you're confident. Your job is to bring that animal. Based on what you learned from me and what you understood from me, the animal that steals our food, in the net, you must capture it. You have to kill it after it. Additionally, if you do this, I'll allow you to leave your mark there. Arlo was ecstatic to find out this information. The trap is set with assistance from Arlo's father. Arlo then watches for that animal. The corns are placed where the trap was set. A wild child then appears out of nowhere and begins picking the corn. This demonstrates that the thief was not an animal but rather that wild youngster. Now Arlo hastily sets his trap for him. The child was caught in the net, but he screams quite a bit. He was beseeching them to free me in his language. When Arlo sees and hears him, he is startled and wonders what strange creature he is. It raises the trap while confused. Run away from there, you wild child. Upon the father of Arlo's arrival, it reprimands it, saying what you did was leave him after you caught him. Your fear has made everything worse. Come with me. Stop being so afraid. Now, Arlo's father wasn't berating it arbitrarily. It also desires to raise a morally upright son. The entire world will be terrified by it. Not being afraid of the world, for our good. Parents reprimand us. It travels to a forest with Arlo's father. It then begins to rain. It rained most of the time. Arlo experiences fear. It tells its father to let it return. The climate is not favorable. Keep quiet and follow me. Its father commands. The sky was filled with awful thunder. Arlo's heart was pounding quickly. Because he lacked courage, they kept slipping on the stones now that it was raining. Arlo stumbles while walking and trips over his foot, which drops to the ground. Simply stop. It begs its father. Its father tells it that I am also regretting bringing my son here. Okay, enough for now. Let's go back. But remember, if I don't take away your fear, what will you do when you're older? However, it soon begins to pour heavily. Storms arrive when there is a strong wind blowing. Along with the stones, the flood descends. With it, everything was moving. Father of Arlo orders it to turn upside down. With the aid of its mouth and tail, it turns its son Arlo upside down. It cannot flow during a flood as a result. But by itself, it still has drawbacks. It is destroyed by that flood. A brief blackout occurs in this area, mainly because it was a touching scene. The father of Arlo had died. From there, Arlo returns to its house. With its siblings, it also begins to work. It used to always be depressing. The same wild child was there when it was working. In its mind, that thing clicks, to capture and kill him, as its father commands. Running in his direction, it begins. Arlo manages to catch him, but it then falls into the stream and flows from that location while arriving at a distance. Now it was fading. When it regains consciousness, it discovers that it is alone. It was a depressing situation. However, it then notices that rascal. It begins to pursue him and approaches from above. It then notices that stream, though, that is flowing back home. Then it thinks back to what its father said. Do not be alarmed if you see steam, because you'll discover the path to your house. It begins to follow that stream while walking. But it needed to eat. It notices a fruit. It was perched up a tree. Arlo begins to eat that fruit while keeping its feet firmly planted on a stone, and then the stone falls. Arlo then descends the stone. Right now, those stones had Arlo's foot wedged in them. It makes numerous attempts to become free, but it was unable to free itself. Even the night is here. The day is over. Arlo is also asleep. But when it awakens in the morning, it discovers that its foot was free. There is a place there that someone has dug. Moreover, it was surrounded by tiny footprints. It is aware that these are the wild child's footprints. He also sets Arlo free. Cunningly, Arlo gets to his feet. While gathering wood, it begins building a home, which is a shelter where it will live. When that happens, the rascal returns. He delivers a lizard for Arlo, since it was famished, to which he is told by Arlo to keep the lizard at a distance. Arlo experiences similar fear over it. Since that was the lizard in the wild, a huge insect is then brought by that child after it. His mouth is separated from its head, pointing for it to be eaten. However, Arlo doesn't consume it either. It was vegetarian and only ate things from plants, trees, and fruits. The young child then realizes what it wants to eat. He brings the fruit that Arlo had seen. Arlo eats it quickly now because he was hungry. That child is aware of its desires. He transports it to a location where the tree that produced that fruit was present. This kind of berry was one of many on that tree. Arlo's mouth starts to water. It moves straight in its direction, but the youngster stops it. When he stopped, we at first had trouble understanding why. However, a huge snake emerges from that tree when Arlo approaches it. It was going to go after Arlo, but that brazen child pounces on the snake. They got into a fight. And at least that snake fled when it got scared. They had arrived at their destination. A huge animal emerges from some bushes and trees in the meantime. On its horns, some birds were present. Since they are animals and can converse with one another, it asks Arlo, "Who is that kid with you?" "I don't remember his name," Arlo claims. Arlo is to be identified. It says. Arlo then says Spot, prompting the wild child to turn around and look. Perhaps he likes the name. Spot and Arlo grow to be friends. They begin their joint stroll. Arlo was heading for its residence, but it couldn't understand the path. After that, they move past a location with extensive grass. Arlo wiggles its tail in that grass. That grass is filled with fireflies. Then, they start to feel better. Arlo then recalls that his father also takes such measures to ensure Arlo's happiness. Again, it turns depressing. Arlo sits down in his sadness. On the mud, Arlo has 5 small wood blocks propped up. Next, bury the large piece of wood in the muck. This indicates that Arlos was relating information about Spot's family to it, that we were 5 but my father died. It becomes sad again when it receives no response from Spot. That whom am I telling? But then Spot also stands up and stands 3 blocks of wood in the mud. He puts 2 big blocks of wood in the mud. And he becomes sad while seeing the small piece of wood. Because he was that small piece of wood, he wants to say that his parents were killed and he is alone in this world. They hug each other and sit while being sad. The next day, they move for their next path. But then the storm comes. It starts raining heavily. It was the same flood in which its father has died. It gets scared and starts running from there. It hides under a tree. But when it wakes up it sees that it is far from the stream. It wasn't seeing stream anywhere, through which it can search for his house. It becomes sad and starts moving forward. Then it sees strange birds. They were seeming clever birds. Arlo asks them that, "Can you tell me that where is the stream?" "I want to go to my home." Those birds say that, "How would we know? We don't have any link with it." The birds which died because of storm or flood, we come out to eat them. Those weird birds ask a question from Arlo. "Did you see that wild kid? So tell us." Now Arlo was scared of them, because those birds have eaten a fox-like small animal in front of Arlo. Being scared, Arlo tells them that where is Spot. But when it sees that those birds are following them, so Arlo starts running while making Spot sit on its back. Then big dinosaurs come in front of them. They were huge than Arlo's parents, so Arlo gets scared and starts running on the other side. But then a huge dinosaur comes there who is the father of those dinosaurs. It calls Arlo back and says that, "Don't be scared, we are also vegetarian." Then Arlo asks that, "Can you tell me that where is the stream?" "I want to go to my home." It says, "Okay, I will tell you. But an issue happened to me. Someone had stolen my cows. Firstly, you both helped me to find out my cows." Now they all start finding the cows. They find the cows. Now that giant dinosaur says that this place where Mount Cows are standing, there are also the thieves of them. It says to Arlo that, "Are you seeing a stone there? Go there and scream, so that the thieves of my cows will come out." It was scared, but it had to search for its home, so it had to go there. As it stands in the stone and starts screaming, its voice was so low, it doesn't seem like a dinosaur. Then Spot bites its foot, and now the real voice of Arlo comes out. It screams loudly. While listening to its voice, the thieves of the cows come out. They were the weak dinosaurs like creepy birds. As they come out, the giant dinosaurs also come from there, and starts attacking them. They fight a lot. Finally, those weak and creepy dinosaurs run from there. The giant dinosaurs go from there while taking their cows. Arlo and Spot were also with them. Then at night, they were sitting around the fire and talking to each other. The giant dinosaur was telling them that, "I have a lot of power," and start telling the story of its power, that "I have done this work or that work." Arlo says that, "My father was also powerful as you, and you know what, it didn't get scared." That giant dinosaur says that, "No, my son, it can't happen, that none feel fear. Everyone feels fear, it is in nature, but the real thing is to overcome it. Walk with your fear but don't let it dominate you. When you will learn that how to face things, you will automatically become strong. Don't overthink. We will leave for your house in the morning." Now Arlo becomes happy. Then according to the promise they all, even the cows of the giant dinosaur, moved to leave Arlo to its home. While walking they reached the top, but their heads were in the clouds. They were seeing the mountains in front. There was the stream with those mountains. This means Arlo's house was near. That giant dinosaur says to Spot and Arlo that, "Kids, I have brought you here. We have to go back. Now safely reach your home." Arlo becomes happy and goes towards that side while jumping. Arlo and Spot start speaking loudly, because they were happy. But then we see that a wild human was also speaking like them. The Spot was staring at that human. As Spot moves towards him, Arlo holds him. It makes him sit on its back and moves forward. It reaches those stones, but those creepy birds again come there. They hold and take Spot him with them. Arlo tries to make him free, but it falls down. Now Arlo was stuck in the wild trees. It was stuck badly. Arlo becomes sad, but then its father comes in front of it. Arlo immediately makes itself free from the traps of those trees. It starts walking behind its father. It says while seeing its father that, "Father, you came back. You were here." But Arlo notices that its footprints were there on that wet mud, but not the footprints of its father. This means it was just its imagination. But its father has said in its imagination that you have to search for Spot. Arlo itself wanted to search for Spot, because it was missing him. Arlo moves forward and starts screaming. Then it sees that those creepy birds while putting Spot in a wood trying to hit him. But Spot was hiding in that wood. The first time someone becomes the friend of Arlo. Seeing him in this condition, he becomes aggressive. And here for the first time, we see Arlo mature and aggressive. Arlo screams loudly. But then the flood comes. Everything was flowing with it. Arlo doesn't care about it. And it jumps in the stream. It has saved Spot. It somehow takes Spot out of the stream. But its body was wounded badly. This means it was badly injured. They move forward from there. The Spot was sitting on the back of Arlo. Then he sees that wild human again. This time Arlo allows him to go to that man. Then Spot immediately comes down from its tail and runs towards that wild human. He sees that he is my father. His mother and siblings were also there. Spot's father loves him. He makes him sit in his lap. And when Arlo sees this emotional scene, it also remembers its family, and it becomes sad. Then Spot immediately comes to it, and sits on it. This means he still wants to search for Arlo's family with it. He wants to go with it. Arlo, while keeping him far from its mouth, says him to go to his family. "This is your place. You deserve love and care." They sadly say goodbye to each other, unwillingly. Now Arlo moves towards its family. Arlo keeps moving and finally, it sees its house in front. It starts weeping. Its mother and siblings also come from the front. They meet each other, but they were also missing the leader of their family, means the father of Arlo. Arlo's mother says that you have done a great job. Now it is the day when you will fulfill your father's dream. It said that when you will be done great work, you can set your footprint that day. Come and set your fingerprint. Arlo becomes happy that it had fulfilled its father's dream. It becomes as its father wants. Its father wasn't with it, but it will always stay strong, and will always remember its father with it. It also sets its footprint with its father's footprint. With this ending, the story of the movie ends here. I hope you liked this movie.